Hi everybody, Clark Smith here, winemaker for Winesmith. I have a very special treat for you today. We just bottled our 2015 Lake County Cabernet Franc from Diamond Ridge Vineyards. Now, I started making Cabernet Franc in 1993, and I guess I've made it from about 10 vineyards all over the state. And I could never find a complete wine. What I mean by that is, I picture the wine as having a frame of tannin and then a nice sweet core of fruit in the center. And I always had to blend two vineyards, one of which had structure and the other which had fruit, to pull that off. And in 2007, I got approached by Jake Stevens at Diamond Ridge Vineyards, and I started making his Cabernet Franc. And there I finally found what I was looking for. And we've got 13 vintages under our belts now, and I think we've kind of got it down. This is my largest selling wine, and unfortunately, because it's so popular, we've been completely out of it since the first of the year. And so we just bottled the 15. We just have to wait this wine out. It ages extremely well, but it does require a fair amount of time in these 20-year-old French oak barrels we use in order for it to come around. Now, the reason for that, this vineyard is on a volcanic soil about a half-mile up, right next to Clear Lake. So you put all those things together. First thing is you have a limiting soil. From this volcanic soil is very rocky, and the water drains right through it. Now that's important for Cabernet Franc, because Cabernet Franc is a weed, and it likes to grow a big solar panel, and you have to hold it back from that, because otherwise it'll shade the fruit, and a lot of these heavy clay Cabernet Francs will have a lot of vegetal aroma, and that's because of the shaded fruit, and they also won't have very much color. So what you need is some nice UV light that's going to shine on those berries, and that'll dispel these bell pepper, we call them pyrazines, and give you more color. And the problem with that is that in most areas like that, like our neighbors in the Red Hills, you get all those things, but the aromas burn off. But Diamond Ridge is right next to Clear Lake, and so at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon every day we have to put our sweaters on, and the temperature goes down to 60 degrees or so. It's lake effect, and that preserves the fruit of this wine. The other thing about the volcanic soil is it creates this thing we call minerality. We don't really know what minerality is, but you'll find it in a lot of my wines, and I'm certainly looking for soils that will permit that. Minerality is, I'm not talking about the smell of whetstone, I'm talking about a sort of a buzz in the finish that's often mistaken for acidity, but it's in the wrong place. It's all the way back in the throat, and it just gives a vibrant energy to the wine. But also, those wines take a long time to age. And we don't really understand the chemistry. Maybe before I die, I'll work that out, but in the meantime, I kind of have to deal with it. I like to make wines that have very flat aging trajectories that'll age for a long, long time, and this one is certainly still a baby with only 5 years in that old wood. So let's get into it without further ado. So the color here is sort of a ruby garnet. It's sort of medium heavy color. The varietal character that we get expressed in this vineyard, because of the lake effect, I call it white cherry. It's a very bright red fruit, and that's the primary aroma here. Extremely fresh. And then we have some varietal herbal character that I think is a little like rosemary. I think it might come from the droughty herbs that are up there in that location, maybe a little bit of bay laurel. And there's also always characteristic of Cabernet Franc, something a little cinnamon. So it's quite spicy, not oaky at all, still quite fresh. I'm sure in a decent cellar it'll go another decade, maybe more. very bright fruit, just lots of energy. And then all this time in age, there are some tertiary aromas in there that I think of as sort of Romano cheese and truffles in the background. They're just beginning to develop, and you'll probably get more of that as the wine ages. By the way, you can really enhance your experience of this wine. I love to combine wine and music, and this is about the best wine and music pairing I know, is to take this wine and get in the dark with something on fire, like a fireplace or candles or something, puts you in a Dionysian mindset, and then put on Bruce Springsteen's Jungle Land at very high volume. Finish is long and clean. The alcohol in this wine is 13.5, so that stabilizes it for aging and makes it better balanced, go with food. I sure hope you'll enjoy it. I'd recommend it with veal chop. It really loves stinky old cheeses like Epoisse or maybe an Italian Fontino with some age on it.